Welcome to another Fintech Hive Mind. Today I'm going to start off by saying I've broken my number one rule. I said I wouldn't invite guests back. However, by massively popular demand, we have Ewan MacLeod, the number one rated appearance on my podcast so far. So Ewan, first of all, I'm sorry to blow smoke at you, but thank you very much for joining me again.
No. Thank you for blowing smoke. It's lovely for you to say so. I'm delighted to be back. Thank you.
Great. So we're going to have a more sprawling conversation. Like last time, we were talking about all of your experiences from the perspective of the time you spent as a chief digital officer, chief technology officer, and buying. But we're going to mix it up a little bit this time. So just to start us off, like the reality is that you left, a bit like me, the world of being a good corporate citizen, and you've gone rogue, you've gone to become an entrepreneur yourself, and you work with a whole load of companies. So actually you've kind of switched from being the buyer to almost being the seller. You've had to take yourself to market, you've had to package yourself up. Like,
yes.
Tell us about that journey. Like how far in, like paint a picture for us, Ewan.
So interesting. I speak to and I work with quite a few other chiefs who are in role in a bank at the minute and who look at me and go, "I want to do exactly what you're doing. It looks amazing." And I said, "Well, wait, hold a minute. And I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit now." And I said, "What? Wait a minute," because there's a process to this. And I have been an entrepreneur before. So I've seen this movie before. I've seen the challenge and the difficulty, right? Cash flow is very important. Personal cash flow. What I wanted to do was to see if there was an opportunity to bring the experience I've had to multiple institutions. So after my previous role, I had been looking at the possibility of taking another one. And that's, I'm always open to that, right? Because it is a fun thing. But what I wanted to do was to say, look, can I help him? Can I help her? Is there an opportunity here, right? And I've seen lots of movies before, and I have lots of actual scar tissue. So if I can help, then let's do it. So what I did was put myself out there, James, by saying, look, I'm here, I'm Ewan, this is what I have been doing. If I can help, just let me know. And what was astonishing and exciting, because when you're doing that, it's just I'm hello LinkedIn, let me know if I can help you. And of course I have contacts and friends, but you can't guarantee that the moons will align, the stars will align. So I've just been out there saying, hello, I'm Ewan, if I can help, here's how I did this, here's how this, if you please. And before I knew it, I would get inquiries. Typically through LinkedIn, saying, oh, could you help us? Are you available? Can you help us? So for example, I've been doing a lot of core banking advice. That's something that the market came to me. Right? People have come and said, "Oh, could you help us with this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I would do it this way. Come in and sit." And so that's really exciting. What's particularly cool is working with those senior executives that were me. I was them. So I know their pain and the abject horror of the position that they're in. And then helping them with the vendors that they're working with. In many cases, some of these tier one consulting.
So how much of what you're doing is therapy versus advisory?
That's a really interesting point, because I often, when I'm in a meeting with a plenary with maybe you got 9 faces or 10 faces on a Teams call, I'm saying one thing, right? And the CIO is in there, or the CDO is in that meeting, and I'm saying one thing. But then when I'm one-to-one, and I do mean one-to-one, right? I'm saying, now look, are you thinking about your situation? What is the CEO going to say? What is procurement going to say? And how does this make you look, right? You individually, your reality. There is a strong risk that the tier one consultant saying this, right? But I think if you take that to the board, they may go nuts. So that's been really, really exciting. But I would suggest perhaps 60 or 70% of my time is the therapy versus the practical reality.
From a go-to-market perspective, you said, like, look, I've just gone into LinkedIn and said I'm available, but I think you're selling yourself a little bit short here, Ewan. Like, let's break down the content machine that is Ewan. You've got Fintech Profile. How many people are signed up to Fintech Profile in your newsletter?
So there's a modest 3,000 something. 3,000.
3,000.
Right.
You're on episode 50 something of your New Era podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Right.
this is not just you like going, "Hey, I'm available." Like, you know, you've done a ton of stuff. Like, what are the things that you've been experimenting with? Because, you know, I tell you what, I was sitting down with another CEO yesterday, founder, seed, really successful business, heading straight towards Series A. They haven't done a huge amount of marketing, and that's the next thing. Like that self promotion, that content. You know, you've done that very early on. Tell us about the stuff. Like, have you figured out which channel has been most impactful for you? Just tell us about some of those things.
Here's what I was doing, because I would fly into a city. I'd be doing a workshop. Sometimes that workshop is free of charge, right? Because I'm earning my stripes, right? Other times it's a reality that either they've offered or I have said no, sorry, I would need to be paid for this, right? That's a British man. Sorry, I have to, right? And then I was doing the selfie, right? Because I thought that was what was good. People were telling me on LinkedIn, you know, do a selfie, right? Because the LinkedIn algorithm likes it, right? Hello, here I am in London. Here I am, and I would just do a selfie, right? A picture. And I would say, this is what I was doing today, and I was talking about to this pension company, and it was very exciting. Thanks very much. I of course, wouldn't identify the client. Publish. Now, I was doing that quite regularly, and then one colleague reviewed my LinkedIn profile for his show. And it's a Badger something. I forget the guy's name. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, he was reviewing my profile, and him and his colleague, and they're saying, "Oh, look at how Ewan's engaging with the market. The one thing he's not doing is video." And I thought, yeah, no, I'm not doing video. And they said, no, he should be doing video. And I thought, okay. And I think I was in Riyadh. I'd been doing a seminar that morning, and I came back to the hotel and thought, okay, let me try this video thing. And I opened the laptop and I just thought, okay, right, 3 minutes, let's go. Hello, this morning I was talking about digital transformation. I just went through just the summary of what I was talking about. And I just went, publish. Publish. I didn't like how I looked. The lighting's terrible. The audio was just me talking. Nah, nothing happened. I mean, there were views, and my colleague was right. The video was treated differently, right? I did 3 or 4 minutes. Great. What happened a couple of months later? Now, this is painful if you're trying to get stuff to happen immediately, but right, I set my expectations. A few months later, someone sent me that video. Right now, so that video's on LinkedIn. Now, someone had ripped it. It's not easy to save video from LinkedIn, right? You have to get a special little web tool and rip the video. And they sent it to me on WhatsApp. And they said, see this video? Could you do that for us? And I said, right, so that was a sales process, if you see what I mean, right? Okay, a lead. And I wrote back, going, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by all means, we started talking, right, booking time and so on. And I said, by the way, how did you, because I put this on LinkedIn, how did you get this? He said, oh, someone sent the video to our WhatsApp, the bank WhatsApp management group. Someone sent it. And we all agreed we should speak to you. And I thought, oh, okay, right. That's why I started a podcast. Yeah. Right, because I thought I've got to make me accessible, right? So if you are half interested, you can find me. So that's why I did the podcast. So I started recording videos about just my wife was saying, why are you giving it away? I said, well, actually, what I'm saying you can probably get from ChatGPT. Actually, you could right. What I'm doing is it's coming with some perspective, my own experience, but actually, it's a really useful way of you saying, looking at me and thinking, no, I'd like to work with that guy. Or actually looking at me, watching the video and going, no, I don't like that guy.
It's a modern CV, isn't it? Rather than like, Ewan MacLeod and he's done this and he's got a degree. They can listen to you and determine whether they think that you know what you're talking about or whether you're full of shit.
Exactly, right? And either or, it serves a purpose, right? Because it's what's really interesting then, James, is when I do get that incoming inquiry, right? And look, I'm not getting 20 inquiries a day, right? But when I get that incoming inquiry, it's almost, I don't know the language here, right? But for me, it's fully qualified. Someone wants to buy, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, because they know you. I was having exactly this kind of conversation. I think the theme is transparency. And you could tie a podcast and you could putting your API documentation online and a sandbox. It's all about reducing the friction between your business and the things the buyer needs to know before they engage you.
This is it. This is it. So, for example, I do a lot of advice with workshops, round tables and that kind of thing. So I did a 50-minute podcast, right? I thought, who's going to watch this? 50 minutes with me saying, if you're going to do a round table with a vendor, do it this way, A, B, and I just talk through it, 50 minutes, publish. And I think, no one's going to work, right? Maybe the first 2 minutes. But then what's interesting is anyone that is actually keen watches it. Right, and they may not watch the whole thing, but they're flicking through, going yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's good enough, and that's them. They're making their buying decision there because now when they're contacting me, they know what I'm thinking, how I'm operating. They've seen me, and often anecdotally, what's happening is my video is being played in the conference room in front of the decision makers to then say yes, let's get that guy.
Yeah, and It's all an issue of expectations. I mean, obviously, like you, but in a slightly different sphere, I produce quite a bit of content as well. And it's all around the expectations. Like, if you think your phone's going to be ringing off the hook because you do a few videos, you might be disappointed. However, what I have found is a huge amount of the people that I have meetings with from other channels, from my own network, or attend events or something, then follow me on LinkedIn, and they will build an agenda. They'll come and sit down as you described and say, I consumed your content and I'd like to talk about this, and this from what you produce.
Yes,
so
can you say more? Can you do that for us? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Good stuff. So one of the things that you have been most busy with at the moment is AI. Yeah. And I have to say, you almost owe me a new keyboard because I almost spat coffee all over my keyboard when I read your comparison of NatWest versus Lloyds chatbot, and particularly the moment where you said, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one of it was, is limited to 15 words.
Yes.
And you parodied the person calling up and saying, right, how can I help you, sir? But you've got to do it
Only
in 15 words or less. I was, excuse me. So yeah, tell us about the stuff that you've been doing with AI, because it's clearly a passion project for you.
It is. So I've been very fortunate to be exposed to AI, machine learning, and so on at previous banks. Certainly in the Nordics, where the teams there were expert before everybody else was doing this. So it's been great. I've been able to draw upon a lot of experience. Certainly, especially in the governance of, and then the championing of AI in an organization, right? Which is very different from doing. Doing, there's some experts out there, but explaining and championing this is really important, especially to individuals that are deeply concerned with their bank's reputation and how to use and leverage AI. I started by working with the London Institute of Banking and Finance. They had engaged me to as external faculty to talk through a former executive banker person to talk through an introduction to AI for various different boards of financial institutions. So I've been doing a lot of that. Now that then leads to one of the first questions, having done that introduction, when I'm talking through, you might want to think about to these senior executives. One of the first things they then say is, oh, right, so how do we start? How do we begin? And that's usually the informal bit after the presentation. And often I'll be saying, well, look, you probably need to forget AI. You need to start with your data. And they say, no, we want to do AI, right? And we've read the Economist article, and we our strategy is AI. We want to do AI. And I then have to say, right, okay, but it uses data. And I am a customer of your institution. I have 5 different profiles with you. Sorry? And I explain that, look, you're an insurance company, so I took out insurance when I arrived in the country, and that's one profile, okay? Because I don't log in, right? What? And still at this senior level, they're not So I walk them through the challenge by saying, well, look, then I moved house, okay, and then I got this insurance from you. Go, okay, right? So, but I did that again, and now I have a different profile. Okay, so I would estimate that you have 5 different incorrect, right? 4 are incorrect, 1 is correct. Right, profiles of me, because you don't have a central repository there. Oh, right. Okay, so now, right, so how get that right first, then we can begin looking at. So when I say championing, introducing, and a lot of these execs relax when I say, look, the number one thing you should be doing, and they all lean forward and say, the number one thing you should be doing is testing and learning. And they go, really? Yes, test and learn. right? That's what you've got. So that's where I've been doing a lot of work. And then related to that, conversational AI. I'm really, really interested in what you can do with chatbots. And you can do this right and you can do it wrong. And what I've been doing, I have researched 80 plus, more than 80 now, different chatbot installations in financial services. Sometimes the chatbots are used internally to help agents do things quickly, but typically they're used externally to help triage or fix incoming messages from customers. And a really good example of this is you need a replacement debit card, right? A very simple, very easy thing. And you don't really want to have to phone your bank. Ideally, you can get this done in the mobile app. Many mobile apps are so feature rich that finding that feat is quite annoying. So what you can often do is go into their chatbot and just say, hey, please can you send me a replacement debit card? The bank does have to check, by the way, is it lost? Because if it's lost, fraud, right? We have to direct you down a very specific path. If it's just damaged, you need a new one, okay, done, right? Now, normally you have to phone the meat sack API, right? You've got to speak to the human, okay? And the human is going, oh, yeah, okay, fine. Chatbot should be able to answer that query instantly. Now, that means the economics here get quite exciting. The cost, the efficiencies gets quite exciting. If you can try and take all of that out of your contact center, all of these things, right? This for financial services and, look, for any industry where you've got customers calling you or chatting with you, if you can automate that, automate the low-level activity, then there's a real
change
value.
of address, lost my card, basic
boring
stuff.
Boring for the customer, boring for the bank, right? And actually low value for both parties, right? And in fact, it's very costly for the bank, but low value for everybody, right? Now, if you can do that, if you can begin to automate that, make it a great experience for me, right? And because it is fantastic, if you just go, and I've used really good chatbots and really crap ones. You just say, I need a new debit card, send me a replacement. And ideally, it should essentially qualify that, but just go, yes. And then it does its digital sellotape in the background, whatever, and then your card arrives, right? That's what we want, simple, easy. Now, if you do that, then now your people are freer to have high-value conversations. So that's what I've been doing a lot of investigation around that, James, and I think it's a really interesting approach. But what you're referring to is I was asked to speak by Futurist, the digital agency. They do a lot in financial services. They asked me to speak about conversational AI. And to make it simple, I said, look, well, why don't I do some screenshots from NatWest, I'm a customer, of how their conversational AI works. And why don't I'm also a customer of Lloyds. Let me do screenshot analysis, and I'll just put them head to head. And so I presented that. But walking through it, you're right. I was quite astonished with Lloyds, who, you say chat with us, right, for support. Okay. First screen you then see is instructions. Please use no more than 15 words to describe your.
Don't use nouns and verbs in anything more than a 2-to-1 ratio. Just making it complicated.
What we're doing. Look, I know why they're saying that, because they don't want complex questions, because it's not generative AI. It's a different type of AI. Right? I think there's a better way of phrasing it. It's interesting when you look at HSBC, when you look at NatWest and other banks, they have they say, please keep your inquiries short. Right? I think that's nicer. But I was just.
We're too busy.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's some great themes there, which is, I love the comment around the data lake, the single view of the customer. And I guess suddenly the executives are realizing that all of the things, the IT projects that are unsexy, they've now realized that that's the absolutely critical foundation for being able to have all the sexy functionality that they now want.
Yes.
You said you've spoken to 80, you've looked at 80 chatbot technologies.
Yes.
Come on, I think we deserve to kind of call out a couple, 2 or 3 of like the best ones. I won't name and shame the worst, but who are some of the best ones that banks you think
I'll
should
qualify
be
it just to be clear. That's 80 plus installations. Some of them all using same vendor, right? Okay. Or similar. Ones where I can categorically say you'll get a good service. Boost AI is one. That I have seen, and I've done a lot of evaluation of Boost technology, and I've actually been a customer of them. That's really, really good. Put their stuff in, and within a very short time frame, you can start seeing results and output. So Boost is one. Another one is Core. I hear lots of, I haven't used Core directly, Core.ai or Core AI. I hear good things about them. I know a number of institutions using IBM, a mix of LivePerson, IBM, Watson. I am less satisfied. Look, I haven't got direct experience of implementing them, but as an end customer of some of these things, I think there's more work to do there. But there are many, many vendors. And that, by the way, that's why I set up conversationalainews.com. Promo
Great
alert,
plug.
right?
And to be fair, like
I hope
super
that's
niche, so
semi.
that is the place to go, people.
Because what I've been doing there is just writing about these vendors and the use of this technology, and that's helping me develop my capability and experience in market to say this is interesting. For example, I just interviewed yesterday OpenFI, and they have a Sales Talk AI engine, and I was thinking of you, James. I was thinking of you because what they're doing is nurturing both farming and hunting. Really interesting perspective there. It's a chap called Sam has set this company up, and it's for mortgage leads. And the AI, it's a very, very specific conversational AI geared not for help replace my debit card. No. For an individual who's interested, potentially thinking about mortgage broking, wanting to get a mortgage, but then that conversational AI will farm those semi-interested leads. But it will do it for you, and then once it's found someone that's keen and relevant, then it books the appointment, gets it into Salesforce. It's really, really interesting. So yeah, the right technology here can be tremendously valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because obviously AI is everywhere and it's in sales as well. I was looking at a tool the other day which is designed to personalize your outbound.
Right.
And maybe I'm just a little bit legacy. It's amazing because it can kind of scan your digital footprint, your LinkedIn AI. It personalizes that initial message for you. And I think there are some aspects of it that are good because it's essentially doing a condensed amount of research to add that little bit of personalization. But the main body of it just, in a way that I can't quite describe, it's obviously not me. And I would never send something that I didn't feel was
this is really important.
Yeah, there was a good reflection of me. So I think it's an interesting space to watch in sales as well, for sure. But I'm not quite willing to hand over the reins yet.
I think you've got a good point. Yeah.
Let's talk about one of my main P's. We're going to go into rant mode now, Ewan. So you're obviously big on AI. I find the overloading of technical phrases hugely annoying and actually really detrimental and damaging to the industry. Cloud, SaaS, and now it's AI.
Yes.
You can't build a toaster without it being apparently built on AI.
Yes.
Tell me, how many times have you come across a technology vendor that says, "Oh, we're AI," and you've thought, where?
Almost every conversation I'm having with a technology vendor includes in the second sentence AI, and in some cases that's very, very relevant. But I wonder if I make a sweeping statement. So if I make a sweeping statement, 99% of times we don't need to be talking about AI and your technology, right? I think this phrase is being overused. I am astonished about how many ChatGPT wrappers we see everywhere, right? Because when you're talking to the technology vendor, you say, right, so it's got AI in it. Okay, amazing, lovely. Why? And then the salesperson gives their patter. You get, right, okay, so say some more. And they give some more patter. You go, right, so why do we need that? And the very, very frank ones will simply say, why? It's because we've got to do some. The board wanted AI, and we thought we should do some AI. Okay, right, How did you do it? Well, we've just done a deal with OpenAI. Okay, all right. No, we've used Claude.
We persuaded all the VCs that just invested in us that it was an AI company. So
that's it. And we got the funding. Right.
Twice as much as you otherwise would have because you had AI on your domain suffix.
But unfortunately, then going and hiring the right people to help you, they are expensive, right? And there aren't that many of them. So what I see are lots of technology vendors that have added AI, and then I think, are we at that point whereby we're all bored of it. We're all eyes glazing over it. Certainly, a lot of the senior execs I'm working with, I think you now look ridiculous when you say, "Oh, it's got AI," right? It's got AI in it. Okay. There's one vendor I was talking with a while ago, and they start their presentation with cloud-enabled banking, right? Which almost every vendor is starting their deck with. We're cloud-enabled, right? Now it's AI. Where and how, right? Because there are some clear opportunities to use it. But typically what I think they mean is, it's got a large language model behind it, sitting over here. We're sending the message out to ChatGPT. It translates it into a few things that we understand, or our system can understand, meaning you can chat to it rather than just press buttons. All right, well,
But
that's
even
great.
that, I would say, you could make an argument that is genuinely AI. Some of the examples that I see are people saying, "Oh, well, it learns," and they start describing it, and I'm like, "Well, that's just business rules. That's not AI."
No, God, right now. See, I think you're absolutely right, because I've been inhabiting the actually doing valuable stuff with AI, right? So fair point. Okay, the opposite, or down level when it's literally it's a business rule and we're not calling it AI. Stop it, just
Grown.
stop it, for goodness sake.
Yeah, we need a Robert Downey meme, the grown meme for that one.
Come on,
But it's a particularly, it's a subject that I'm passionate about, because salespeople, of which I am one, get a lot of stick about misselling or misdescribing things. And actually, I'm a real pedant. I like to know that when I'm describing something, people have in their mind the same thing, that, they're thinking of the same thing when we use the same word. And actually, when terminology gets completely overloaded, you can have two people using a word and thinking of completely different things. Like SaaS as an example. I'm sorry, Ewan, I'm going into full-on Rant Mode here.
Do it.
And you say, "Oh yeah, we're SaaS." Oh, so where does the software go? Oh, it goes on your server. Okay. And does it get automatically updated? Is it a single code base? No. We'll customize it.
Yeah.
So when you
that's
say
how we
SaaS,
make money.
what you mean is you're charging me every year. I never own the software, as opposed
to subscription.
Absolutely, it's
SaaS,
kind of different things.
SaaS. Yeah. Oh no. Yes.
And I tell you what, I was having a conversation with someone that we both know, who I won't name here, but about something, the definition of fintech.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm perfectly open in this conversation to the fact that I might be the stupid one here. But I'm a fintech expert, and I'm not quite sure. When we say fintech, are we talking about technology vendors,
right?
Or
do you
are we
mean
talking
Revolut?
about?
Yeah,
exactly. That's it. Because this person, who will remain nameless, said we were talking about Wise and Revolut, and described them as fintechs. And for me, they're just very modern financial services businesses. So anyway, look, I don't think we're going to get a definitive answer. But
no, I hear
you tell me. Put me back in my box. What's fintech?
Okay. Well then, let me let me have the opportunity of failing spectacularly in a public sense. Right. How I have done it, and because I've had to define fintech for various different banks and executive teams when I've been talking through the technology, I actually say it's financial technology. Right, so technology that supports and works in finance, right? That's how we begin, and then of course you can define Revolut as a fintech, but because it's a neobank using financial technology. But I to try and make sure I've got both feet on the ground, I've always tried to say, look, it's financial technology, right? Okay, now why is Revolut? Well, it's a fintech, yes, right, but so is this software vendor. Right, and so is theoretically so is Apple Pay, right? It's fintech, right? Theoretically, a lot of the stuff from Goldman Sachs is fintech, right? It's really right. The APIs you're consuming from a bank is fintech. Your core banking capability, right? The ultra new core bank that you want to install is fintech.
Exactly, and it becomes everything, and in becoming everything, it means nothing, because definitions exist to be exclusionary.
Yes.
Don't they?
Yes. Well, here's an interesting one, James. If I said James works in fintech, what does that mean?
Well, like the reason that it came to fore, like it came onto my rant list, is someone contacted me the other day, and he wanted to enlist my services, and because he wanted to start a bank, and I'm like, no, that's not my expertise. I'm sales and marketing within the technology providers, and I seriously considered, do I need to remove fintech? Because if the whole world thinks that fintech is Wise and Revolut and financial services providers, then it doesn't matter what I think of it. I need to adopt a different word.
What's Wise, Revolut, Monzo? Are they neobanks then? So we have a rule.
Yeah,
if you mention them, they're neobanks,
or just financial services businesses, but not fintech.
There you go.
And
Yes.
I feel like I'm probably going to attract some angry in-mail from this one, but I'm ready for it. Come on, LinkedIn.
I hear you.
Cool. So just to round us off, like in terms of other tech trends, we've got I think BaaS, embedded finance, PaaS.
Yes.
What are you seeing from those worlds?
Well, I see a lot moving, and there's a lot of excitement in embedded banking or embedded finance, which really I have a phrase that that annoys a lot of people. So if I'm speaking and the event organizer says, could you be contentious? Can you be robust? We'd like you to say things that people will sit up. Then one of the things I put on screen is saying point of sale device. I just say, anytime you see a POS, a point of sale, one of the things where someone types in the amount and you have to tap your card. Anytime you see that, failure. Right, that's a failure of the ecosystem, and lots of people get very annoyed very quickly because I say, look, that's friction. Right, whenever I walk into Tesco, right, and there's a point of sale, right, that's friction. It shouldn't be there, right? And I do that. I'm being deliberately contentious, but also, when you walk into a dentist, right, you have your surgery or you have your checkup or whatever, and then you walk out and then there's a point of sale unit, right, on the desk for you to tap your card. I say that's failure of the ecosystem, of the payments ecosystem, right, of banking, of fintech. People go, no, but that's how it works. No. Why do I now have to stop? Right? When I walk into an Uber, and this is when people go, oh, maybe you got a point. I walk into an Uber, okay? The guy drives me here or there. I get out, I say thank you, and I walk away, right? And the payment, right, that happens somewhere in the background. Okay, there's your embedded. There's your seamless. Okay,
Have you shopped at the Amazon stores yet? I'm guilty. I haven't. But what you're describing is
Yes, I have, and I do like that. Right, I like that it's simple and easy. Okay, I look. A lot of people will then say to me, they'll come up and start splitting hairs by going, well, how are you going to pay for in Tesco? I said, look. That's another problem. I'm just pointing out. Okay, that there is friction and it's unnecessary. They go, no, but isn't it? It's a mind exercise, right? How can we what's the phrase? Defrictionalize, or make things better, right?
Trademark.
TM, right? How can we make things better and more efficient, more effective? Now, one of the reasons is typically, so dentists are a great example. If you play this game, why do I have to pay? And they go, well, that's easy, it's simple, right? But is there a way of changing the experience, right? So maybe I'm a subscriber to the dentist, right? And in many cases, I am a subscriber. So the local dentist, what we do is we pay, I don't know, 12 quid a month or something per child or something like that. And then we do all the checkups are free, okay? And then if there is anything, then they can spot it early and blah blah blah, right? We're already paying, okay? They've already got my bank details. They're already paying, right? But in the surgery, okay, if we do have to pay something, I've got to take out my card. But why? You've already got my. It's because we haven't matured yet. Okay, I think things should be a lot more simpler. But so there's embedded finance. The other thing I think is really interesting. I've done quite a bit of work on this for a lot of banks that are looking at core. There's a number of institutions I'm advising where they have to or they need to. They're thinking carefully about their core banking strategy, and I see a lot of movement there with that a core banking platform as a service. I think that is very interesting because when you're talking with the senior executives, certainly the technology teams, but it's interesting talking with some of the business teams or the CEO and looking at their philosophy because a lot of them, they don't want to be in the business of having to manage hard disks. right? What I say hard disk meaning technology. Right? What that's I do as a bank. I do credit risk management, right? Okay, and I've got someone that manages the money, right? Okay, so they come, they pick up the cash and they move cash around. We don't do that, right? We did, but we don't do it now. Okay, but why am I still having to manage my core, right? Why do I have to pay people that are on my my salaried book, and I have to pay these guys to manage my hard disk? No, can I not get out of that? Can I have someone else do this for me? So I think this is a really interesting longer-term trend that I'm also seeing. And what I find fascinating is a number of the institutions I have been working with have done what I had wanted them to do, right? Because usually 9 times out of 10, core bank replacement, let's do Temenos. And there is nothing wrong with Temenos, right? Fine company. Or core bank replacement, let's go and get another version of Infosys, Finacle. Okay, right. I have seen, and I have been surprised by the number of CIOs who have said, no, yeah, okay, I know that that's available to me. Say more about the other stuff. Let me have a look at the other stuff, right? So many, they simply have to go traditional, okay? And I know these vendors, Temenos, Infosys, we're not traditional, right? But right, traditional if you like, okay? But I see the CIOs and their exec team colleagues turning and looking at the other, right? And there's one institution that has just recently done the complete opposite, right? They've actually gone and got a platform. And I'm like, really? Really? Well done. Great. Awesome. And they're moving forward. It's looking exciting. They're moving faster at pace. And I think it's going to be terrifically successful for them. It's really interesting seeing this. So I wonder if we'll see more and more players taking what we would assume as or what we consider the non-traditional path.
What would you describe like? So when you say core, do you just mean the product ledger in the factory, or are you talking about the whole shaboodle? In
some cases, again, here comes down to our fintech definition, right? You need to decide who's going to hold who's ledger, who's holding the ledger, right? You got to start there. But I see a lot of the conversation is, okay, I can get that, but what else can I get, and how opposable is it? Is there an API layer here that I can just plug everything else into? And are you running the core? Am I running it? Are they running it? How do we do this? So I see a lot of different conversations happening. But in this particular example, it was they've simply gone, right, okay, it's this vendor. There you go, and it's as a service. And so we mean core, but then the various different middleware layers. That's their strategies to take that bit. Okay. So I should be clear that what I mean is I'm looking at maybe 2 or 3 layers here, right? So the base technology, ledger technology,
is this kind of PaaS, banking platform as a service,
essentially
more
platform
significant
level, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then this platform provider comes with other partners, right? So you now see the CIO, that the team's going, okay, so if we're committing here, cool, right? And that's now clear for us, great, and we can bring we can do a migration there. But then what else do we? Okay, so we can now use this one, and what's happening now is the modernization question is accelerating very quickly, right? Because if we've made this decision for this platform as a service, then we're probably going to we'll certainly be looking at that's interesting. That's it. All these other options that are now open to us. And it gets very exciting.
I think it's a really interesting trend, and we're seeing a lot of these come from the banks, Starling, Monument. I'm sure there are lots of people out there. And I think you're absolutely spot on. And I think the reason that some of that is happening is because you get these failed implementation programs.
Yes.
When you go picking all of these vendors yourself, I don't care what the BAN standards say. You get gaps in between them. You get bits where there's overlap. There are different definitions. And that takes a huge amount of effort. And taking essentially reference designs for either the whole architecture or some of it, I think de-risks a lot of it.
This is the power of going to these banking platform as a service players, because they live it every day, right? They see the horror. They deal with it every day. They've had to do the gluing together, or in many cases they haven't because they've made it properly, right? But they understand the base level panic, right? So when you are a bank and you have got hundreds of different systems that you're plugging together, the difficult reality is you speak to your core provider and you say, right, we'd like to use you, and they go, great, right? You sign your contracts, and you get an email. You get an email saying, "Please access the software here. Thanks very much." Right, and you click, and it's a one-time download. Okay, and you think, just do this right, because we've not got right. Download it. Now you've got your 6 gig banking platform code. Okay, and now the 24 months of panic starts. Okay, because you realize that the code, that's just the vanilla. Okay, and now you need to go and hire the implementer and all these other people to actually make this thing jump and move. And the ability to say, well, look, can we skip that? Have you done that? And when the banking platform provider says, yeah, look, it's in many cases they've made it themselves, right? So they own the whole platform. Or in some cases, what they've done is they've made the basics, right? And then they've got these and they've plugged them in. They've done all that gluing for you, right? The stuff works, right? There's your value, and that's why you go for a banking platform provider, right?
And it's because I think, a lot of the time the expectation is set, not deliberately misleading. People love using Lego definitions. Software vendors love the Lego analogy. Yes. Yeah, and it's good because it helps you articulate complicated things in a simple way, but it also creates an overly simplified understanding of what you're walking into. And you think, okay, I'm just going to get that and I'll click those together because they go together like Lego bricks. And, the reality is it's more of a spider web of things.
I will often explain to people, explain it this way, certainly to some of the senior execs I'm working with. I think, look, you all use Microsoft Word, right? Okay, as word processing tool, and we've agreed the features. Okay, in fact, but no one explicitly said we want these features. It's just Microsoft has made that decision for us. Okay, and if you want us to develop a very, very particular capability in your word processing system, we can, right? But you're going to chuck out all that cool stuff that Microsoft, all the work that they've done. We can go and make one. We can make one from scratch for you, right? But actually, there's a lot of value in taking the one that's productized. And why don't we, given this as a product, right? It's fully supported, right? And they're going to be very careful about their upgrade path, right? Couldn't we just say, whatever features they offer, those are the features we want? Because the danger, the Will Robinson danger stuff happens when the executive says, okay, so it's Lego basically, right? And every vendor says, well, yeah, you can do what you want. We can custom build if you need it. So they say, well, okay, how we do this? On a Tuesday it needs to be blue, then on a Wednesday it needs to be pink. And then the software vendor goes, well, we haven't got that. And they go, well, how we work in this bank, and we're very important, and we're a bank, and we're paying for it. So, on a Wednesday it needs to be blue, and then we want pink on Tuesday. Oh, no, other way around, whatever. And the vendor goes, all right, okay, let's take that different code base. This is for you now, and you are going to pay. And we go, yes, and they make it for you, and then eventually it works, right? But now you can't. Now you're stuck. So the minute you start customizing.
Yeah, with telephone number implementations.
That's your value of a platform who says this is how it's done, right? And guess what? We work with all these different vendors, and we know this is how it's done. It works this way. If your process doesn't work this way, change it.
Ewan, we have run out of time, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to get you back again because you can absolutely guarantee it. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been fantastic. Take care.
Thank you for the opportunity, James.
Thanks, Ewan.